Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Breston, and thank you for joining us on DevOps Coaching, the Mindset Driving Cultural Change. Just a couple of things to mention. In the box for GoToWebinar, there's a questions area, and if you could post your questions in there, we will be looking at them and answering them as we go along. This recording will be available hopefully sometime tomorrow. So if you can't stay, you will be able to listen to it tomorrow, and you can always reach out to us to find out more about the topics that we discussed today. Again, thank you very much for joining us. Next slide, please. So I'd like to welcome on behalf of DASA, the DevOps Agile Skills Association, Sundaresh Iyer, Dimitri de Ruyter, and Achilles, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I'm just going to embarrass myself. So, Akhil, I'm going to start with you, please. If you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, Daniel, it's a pleasure to work with you. My name is Achilles Chaturvedi, and for the European and Americans, always call as Akhil. It's a pleasure. I've been in industry for 26 years, and 7 years back, I just hung my boot and started my own. And it was DevOps which has made me to do that in 2012 when we had the first DevOps meetup in India. And since then, we have been working. A couple of years back, myself and one of my partners, we developed a DevOps coach program. We saw that we require to build coaches to make the high performance things comes together.
Okay, thank you very much. Sundaresh?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sundaresh Iyer. I have over 16 years of experience in the IT industry, and after 8 years in the platform engineering and DevOps, I currently work as a product manager in the DevOps space for a large product company. Currently, been focusing on helping teams deliver sooner, safer, happier. I'm a DASA influencer. Started Nactra a year ago to help organizations with their digital transformation journey, focusing on Geo AI and DevOps. I'm based out of Boston, and I'm looking to have a great session today.
Thank you, Sundaresh. Dimitri?
Hey, Daniel. Hi. Out of the Netherlands, working on business and IT improvements, on delivering change, on delivering performance with teams. That's what I do. And I've been in this space for many years. Some people ask me how long. So way back to somewhere mid-90s, we started doing similar things, like iterations and telling people what we've delivered in the past weeks. And do that repetitively and asking them what they're looking for instead of building thick, blueprints, what they were called then. And I always loved the interactions, the individuals, and work together. Now, my original background is in supply chain management. So anything with lean and team is then very natural to me. And that's why I enjoy this space a lot. And I work with Akhilesh and Sundaresh on delivering the DevOps Coach program, the DASA one, which is very human-centric, not only customer-centric. When we look at the principles, the 6 principles, the first one being customer-centric, but when we take one level up, it's human-centric. It is there for the people, not there for the organization. It's process and organization that are there for people, not the other way around. And that's why I like doing what I'm doing here.
Thank you, Dimitri. And my name is Daniel Breston, and I'm the old man of IT. I've been doing this for 52 years. So before the frameworks, ITIL led me to Agile, Agile led me to Lean, Lean led me to DevOps, and now it's just one blend of, as Dimitri says, human-centered technology, especially as we're going into this digital age out of COVID. Which leads us to our next slide, please. So, gentlemen, requisites to reach high performance. Why do you want to be high performance? What are the requisites and how does DevOps help, please? Akhil?
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel. A very interesting question. So let me put together as a research the conditions for setting the high performance teams or the prerequisites. The first and foremost, my research suggests that we need to have a very clear set of business outcomes. Second, we need to have a psychological safety. Allow people to make mistakes. As you talked about, Dimitri, the humanistic approach to software development. The third, very clear purpose to the team, what exactly they have to do. Why are they doing what they're doing? And not only the purpose, but it has to be aspirational. It should be aspirational. And it should motivate the team to set the direction to do the things. The fourth, must provide the tools for continuously enhancing their performances. And they should be also guided by some people called coaches to make the process work for them, and they could be part together. Now, the fifth one, which is a mutual accountability. So the team, once working together, should be mutually accountable for doing whatever they're doing. Maybe the development, maybe the testing, maybe operations, maybe security. All of that is a part of the team, and they're mutually accountable for their particular tasks and the piece of the work. Now, there is another thing again, that Dimitri, you said that we need to build the capacity for both human relationships and the task aspect of the teaming. So what is the relationship that each one of them hold when they're working and the tasks on which they are working? It should not be considered as a team building exercises. It must be considered as a business value delivery team. So how exactly they are delivering the value? The last one, there should be no private discussions between the team members. They're always interacting, and their interactions are completely transparent with each other, also with the stakeholders and the customers. And those are the research talks about that high performance. Now, I leave it for the DevOps things to talk about, Dimitri, but I would say one line before Dimitri talks about, because he has a core of it, that the DevOps principles which DASA has set place all that conditions which I spoke about. Dimitri?
Yeah. Interesting that you say so. I have them here on the wall. They're behind me every day. And when we look at reaching high performance, you cannot expect of a team to just say, you know, here's the team and you reach high performance, even if you work just with that team. But actually, it's the leadership around that, it's the context around that that should enable that. And a core thing is to work with that leadership using a set of principles. The first thing is relating to the business outcomes. What is it for? Who is it for? It's for the customer, and whoever that customer may be, whether an internal department when we're building a business application, a consumer when we are delivering a paper product, a book. Doesn't really matter what the product or services that we provide and whom to. But it's the perspective of this customer that starts first. What is it that they perceive as value? Not what we think is value to them, but what they think is value to them. That's the first one. The second principle, we go look at how we encapsulate, how we capture that value in a product or a service. And we need to think of something that can grow. Something small we can take out into the market, learn from it, generate funds, because we still need to feed our children. We need to get a product out, get value, get a flow going, get feedback going, get learning going, and build a better product. Because we always make mistakes. That's the psychological safety thing again. Then we need to be clear. Number three, at what the end-to-end responsibility is that we have. Where does it start and where does it end? Because for that third one, we need to make sure that we have the right set of people with the right knowledge, right capabilities, right mindset, not only within the team, also around the team. Key thing, not just the team that needs to have a mindset. It's the leadership, everybody around it, mostly. Teams very quickly take it. Now we go to teams. So we need that cross-functional autonomous teams that take ownership and take that accountability towards each other, but also towards the customer, not towards their line manager. No, they're there for the customer. The line manager may be there for them. It's the other way around, huh? So that's number 4, cross-functional autonomous teams. And don't be misunderstood. They need to be diverse. If it's just one person that can do everything, more results questionable. But this accountability amongst each other then takes them to grow, which is number 5, the continuous improvement. We must be open to learn. I'm lucky, I have a grandfather. He's passed away already 30 years ago, but still I recall him saying, the day you die, you stop learning. Or the other way around, the day you stop learning, you die. He never stopped until he was 92. We need to keep learning. And to do so, we need to make mistakes, because what you do right, you already know. There's nothing to learn anymore. So only that way you can grow. And then number 6, actually, it is there to unleash what people differentiate from the rest of what's on this beautiful globe that we need to cherish, which is creativity. So we need to take away anything we can automate. So number 6 is automate everything. It is not there just for the fun of it, but it is there for a purpose, to allow us to spend what we're good at doing, which is to be creative and come up with, in the end, solutions for problems. And finishing off with that one, actually, the job here to reach high performance is to build awesome problem-solving machines called teams.
Dimitri, just to add to your point, Daniel, if I can take 30 seconds to add on to the research has suggested that the team structure is the most important prerequisite for the performance. 50 to 70% of team performance variation can be attributed to creating the well-designed teams from the start. So it has to be a well-designed team. And as per the DevOps, when you look at, DASA talks about that the team, as a team, we should be at competency level 4. So your team in all the 12 competencies should be at level 4. It must be designed well. And when I said design well, completely agree with you, Dimitri, that leadership also plays the vital role for team performance.
Actually, they're part of the team. Okay? Yeah, there's not that there's the team and there's leadership. No, they're an intricate part of it.
Yeah,
it's not like them and me. It's us. That's the keyword.
Sundaresh, any last thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, if I can capitalize on the analogy which Dimitri brought up, you stop learning when you die, right? I mean, the industry is moving at an exponential pace. I mean, every day you get to see something new in the market, right? So you have to be keeping up to, I mean, the change in the market. So the high-performing organizations are twice as likely to achieve or exceed commercial goals, which is the market share or number of customers and the customer satisfaction, and also continuously able to meet the organizational goals and mission goals, right? The high-performance team are more agile and faster commit to more deploys. The architecture is the highest contributor to the continuous delivery. But however, Akhil mentioned about the teams and the humanistic approach, right? The architecture directly impacts the communication within the organization or the way the teams are set up. The high performers are the ones, in my opinion, who continuously produce high throughput, right? But does it mean teams that have high throughput will be always high performing? Maybe not. Maybe not, right? Yeah, Dan is nodding. Yeah, that's right. I mean, if the high throughput is at an expense of stability, then maybe not, right? And also, high-performing teams are highly automated. They do less manual work, and it's one of DASA's core principle, which Akhil and Dimitri echoed. Automate everything that you can, which would be a key for me.
Okay.
May I add, Dan? Sorry for interrupting here. There is this thing in the roles that I do, facilitating this. There's a balance between performance and change. You can't have change without performance, and neither can you have performance without change. Yet there is many organizations that only have performance as their one big KPI. However, you will suffocate your organization if you don't think about change and only about performance. You will not reach high performance, maybe for a short while, but definitely not for a longer while. And this change, this impertinence of nature, that's what will, understanding that and dealing with this impertinence at an individual level, in a safe way, a psychologically safe way, as Akhilesh was saying, those are the fine things to get to high performance. My personal beliefs. It's the individuals and their interactions, as we see in the Agile Manifesto, but it's the people. It's all about the people in the middle. It's not about the rules or the process. The process and the tools are there for the people, not the other way around.
Okay, thank you. Just going to move us on. So if we go to the next topic, please. So it's good to talk about the people, and it's good to talk about high performance, but that's a massive cultural and behavioral mindset change from today, right? I mean, we're constantly in the world of tactical. And Sundaresh, you said, change is happening all the time. I don't have the time to create this thing that we're talking about. So how do we, Sundaresh, how do we do this? What are the mindset aspects? What do people do?
Sure. Yeah, like Dr. Nicole Forsgren says, right? Transformation needs technology, process, culture. If you just do technology and walk away, and it doesn't work, because I mean you cannot just improve upon your technology and don't do anything to your process or culture. So it needs to be a tech plus. It needs to be a combination of everything, right? I mean, there's a number of factors, the number of mindset that we want to take into account, and collaboration of the teams, removing conflicts, and ensuring that everybody's working on a collective purpose mindset, and working out of a value stream, and increasing the flow of your communication, etc. Right? And work in small batches, and shift left security. Those are some of the key things. I mean, to begin with, I mean, from a mindset perspective. But definitely, I mean, I would wait for Akhil to Dimitri to add upon that.
Go ahead, Akhil. Behavioral and cultural and mindset aspects of this volatile change. Leaders are terrified of this, right? They just want to make their share value.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the behavioral part of it, and I would like to link that with the humanistic approach to the software development. And the behavior of all the managers / the leaders has to change. And that's the first thing. and myself and Dimitri, we work together delivering some of the programs in the transformation journey and some of the consulting spaces. What we find that the leaders or the managers, so-called, they're holding on to their hierarchical orders, command and control. That is the real need for change to happen. That behavior of controlling things, keeping in the command is important aspect of it. Now, so that's the one behavioral part of it. The second behavioral part is we are still in 21st century. We look at the software development in a traditional manner or in the waterfall method. The behavior to think the end-to-end, the behavior to think about values, not about the features, is an important ingredient of the whole thing. Now, if you look at the humanistic approach to software development, and what I found is that there are 7 layers of the dialogues which happens, needs to be looked at. How do we interact with each other? What kind of a technical dialogue, what kind of behavior that we demonstrate when we have the technical discussions? What kind of behaviors we throw when we have some kind of a tactical stuff where when we are dealing with the challenges? How do we deal with the challenges? What kind of solutions or the problems solving techniques we apply? Now, this is a transformation journey. We need to look at it strategically. So what kind of a behavior we demonstrate when we have to take the processes deeper? Look at and examine the opportunities which is there. Look at, examine the context, the big picture. So that kind of behavioral things that we need to look at. Now there is another thing which is very important to look inside. We are always running through the cognitive space of what we are doing. So can we have a dialogue for self-insights? That how am I working today? How am I coming along with the stakeholders? How am I coming along with the customers, my team members, my leaders, and the vice versa? So that there is a behavioral change required at a self level as well. And then there is a behavioral changes required to think not in a silos but in an integral manner. Not only about the teams, that there is operation team and there is development team, but also we think to fix the problems by, oh, if I get to technical things done, it is done. The process done means done. Or if I make the organizational changes, that whole things are going to be done. No, we need to have integrative behavior. How can I bring the culture, the organization, the process, and technologies and tools together to deliver in a very humanistic manner the software which you want to develop? So these are my 7 ways of looking the behavioral patterns of the people when we interact with.
Dimitri, you want to wrap us up on behavioral culture because you live in this world.
Yeah, it's interesting what Akhil was saying. Since like you say, I live in this world. There's many things there, and a key thing is that we need to understand where we're coming from, where we are, and where we're going to. We cannot leap from the 15th century or the Middle Ages right into the 21st century. So we also need to understand how culture came to be. Effectively, middle management, a key role to this change, has grown up in a period in the past 30, 40, 50 years, where actually their task was to control, to manage, meaning to control, i.e. to reduce risk, to know more. Well, actually, they do that using spreadsheets and numbers and follow-ups and statuses and many one-on-ones to get all information. However, that's a trust thing. So they've never been in control, truly, because if you want the numbers to be changed, And you ask them to perform more. Well, we'll output more. The common one in this space is you want our velocity to increase. Oh, that's not all too difficult. We'll just double our estimates. Cool, right? So that's why it needs to be about value. So middle management, they will give the biggest resistance to this change, because their behavior is around control, and that's because that's how they've been educated. That's how they've been molded. That's a key thing in here. The other aspect is we're trying to merge two blood groups when we look at DevOps. The development side, they enjoy building new stuff with new technologies. Where at the ops side, they prefer stability, no changes, always the same, because they are the ones that are called out of bed on Saturday night, right? After having had a good glass of wine to go fix a problem in production. And they don't necessarily mix and match at a personality level. It's different people, different blood groups. Here your challenge, right? So you need to open them up. They need to, the individuals on the team need to open up. I'm known to take examples from sports. Not everybody can be the player that is the forward and scores the goal. Somebody needs to be the goalkeeper. There need to be defenders. There's different roles to be played to create a well-balanced team. And we need to respect each other for that. Without ops, no dev. Without dev, no ops. i.e., without either one or both, no value for a customer. Now that's a big change of the interpersonal dependencies.
I like that. And on behalf of all the operations people, I would just like to say that we try to limit ourselves to only one glass of wine if we're on call. Coco, can you take us to the metrics slide, please?
That's going to be a fun one.
Well, I wanted to go to here because we've talked about high performance. We've talked about changing the mindsets of people, but this is where it matters, right? This is how this is how you know you're creating high performance and that you're changing the mindset. And so, Dimitri, start with this one and then pass the ball to Akil, please.
I would like to start with the engagement one. And within the engagement one, we can all read that empowerment is needed, work-life integration, i.e. work-life balance, particularly now in these remote times, right? We're forced to be distributed, where we were used to being forced to be co-located. There is this drive for mastery, right? But this diversity is a key thing. Diversity in backgrounds, in education, in personality. It's key things. I'd like to make very clear that even if we have great diversity, we have empowered teams, we have great work-life balance in the, and we allow people to grow, right? When we want to do anything in engagement with our people and anything in engagement with our customers, we need to give them a voice. If we don't give them a voice and truly listen and truly do something with what these professionals come up with the feedback they provide, and also make that a cycle, that when we get feedback from these people and we do something with it, we let them know and we see if it's been the right measure that we do. That one tends to be forgotten. So only when the people get a voice, these metrics will really come to life. They will really take measurement in the space of engagement. No? That's really the thing here. Akil, you wanted to, I see you raise your hand.
Yeah.
Anything to add there?
Yeah. So Dimitri, we have been talking about empowerment, right? Most of the times when we look at, and again, I go into the engagement side of it. most of the times we think that the world is very simple, but that's not the right thing in my mind. Yeah, it's always a complex systems which we are dealing with. Yeah, and when we deal with the complex system, the what comes to me is the empowerment. And when it comes to the empowerment, and you have been talking about the thinking of the 15th centuries or 16th century of the control and command row models, right? Empowerment comes just there. And for me, the empowerment is the way you distribute the control of an organization, a piece of the work. And that is through the empowerment. How do you distribute the control among the others so that you are able to deal with the complexities? Is that empowerment, right? So if you want to create the high performance, how you have distributed the control in the rest of the organization, so the rest of the team, is very, very critical part of it. Yeah. But why we are doing this power empowerment is a very good question to ask. Why do we do that? And me, the empowerment is so that the people do not come to you to take the decisions. Empowering people, empowering the team to make the better decision than you could have done it. They come together, the collective wisdom, they are able to make the decisions, and therefore they own that particular decision. And therefore they will be able to create the performance of a different kind, right? The reason for empowerment is not to improve the motivation. Please understand that it's not the motivation improvement, but it is improve the manageability of the piece of the software we are developing or we are deploying. So this is a manageability piece of it, and manageability which is moving away from the command and control of the single chain to the distributed one. And that's my empowerment part, which I take it to the next level. Yes, Dimi, if you want to comment onto that.
Sorry, there was a phone ringing. Yeah, we were talking about software development, but actually, in any product that we deliver, in any service that we get out, this is applicable, right? And it's you can have two pots: the pot of forgiveness and the pot of approval. The latter one in my life is empty. And this one is overflowing, it's always there. Because only when you truly believe that the people in the team, we've selected them, we've worked with them to be the best guys to fit on the team. When they make a mistake, no, they're the specialists, right? You know, it's always forgiven if you make a mistake, but you go clean it up yourself, and you will want to, because that's why you become part of the team, and everybody will help, right? And then you get the true empowerment. And only when anybody in a leadership position stops taking all these decisions, right, and shows coaching behavior, and giving back, or letting them grasp that empowerment, which is partially within them, and partially we should give them the space, right? Because that's in the end what we're doing is like set the boundaries only, yeah. The rules of, agree on the rules of the game, and remind them of the rules of the game. That's when true empowerment comes in. Forget the spot of approval. I agree, yeah, it's fine. No, it's not. That you're already approving, more or less. And it's very much in these words that you need to think. And that's when this happens. And this engagement, right, is so important, because when at the moment that you give them this purpose, the space to grow, the autonomy to take take decisions, right? Give them vision and action, help them understand where they are now, and keep them where we're going, the performance will come. We need to be clear on both the results and the engagement. One doesn't go without the other. And it's easy to break. Engagement is hard to create, yet engagement is easy to break. It's like trust. Trust comes with the speed of a snail, and it goes with SpaceX, whatever gets us away fastest. Lightning speed. And it's gone. And when it's gone, you have a hard time restoring anything of this. So when we are looking at this change that needs to take place, this mindset, the cultural, the behavioral thing, this needs to be lived within people who set the example, within what I tend to call leadership. Leadership is situational. Leadership is not because you are on a job role or on a certain seat, or because you have the name of CXO or whatever. Leadership is what you demonstrate at this level, at that level, at this level, left, right, front, back. It's what happens in the moment is when you show leadership. And the metric, maybe, I may have come up with a little bit of a hole here, is the leadership behavior is the true metric that matters with any individual.
Sundaresh, I hear the word empowerment, and I hear my leader coercing me to give me more work. So one of the metrics on here is work-life integration, work-life balance. You want me to be a high-performing team? That means I always need to be on email. I always need to be doing something. I always need to be available and stuff like that. I mean, is that really true? What is the work-life metric? How can we use that to our advantage?
Yep, great question.
High-performance team, please.
Yep. Yeah, for us to be a high-performing team, I think one of the key things is, I mean, if I can quote on Conway's law, right? I mean, you can take on any work that is more than the cognitive load of the team. Your team can take in only so much that they can handle, really, right? I mean, if anything that is pushed on them beyond that, they're not going to be successful. We are setting them up for failures, right? So that's where the work-life balance, I mean, really, I mean, comes in the picture. And also, one of the things, I mean, Dimitri had pointed out, I mean, in terms of getting a call over the weekend and all that, right? So DevOps want to ensure that the system is stable and we're able to deliver at a faster rate, right? If you look at the DevOps philosophy in the State of DevOps report, the ability to develop software with speed and stability, which basically, I mean, derives on the 4 key metrics that the DevOps research and assessment talks about, right? The deployment frequency or the lead time to changes that focuses on the speed and the stability, which can ensure that your team members do not have to take a call on a weekend or something when they can do something with their family. I mean, go to the beach or something, right? So which, I mean, the change failure rate or the time to restore a service. You don't want to restore a service in days. You want to be able to restore a service in hours. So that's what we want to focus on, right? So to ensure that we have the stability in place, which would help our teams with their work-life balances. I mean, directly contributing to your overall performance of the team. Again, just want to reiterate on the Conway's law. You can take only so much that the team can really handle. You cannot ask your team members to do something more just because you have more work to be done.
Now, there's an interesting thing that comes up in my mind at the moment, Sundaresh. which is that the brain actually is like a muscle. It needs to flex. It cannot always be at highest power. It needs to do this. It needs a rest. So does the brain. Most of the work in DevOps is this. And then we come to the big question where work-life integration plays, which is that physical health and mental health go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
So Dimitri, do you ever see this slide shows me the opportunity for a high performance team of having a leadership team that supports them and is acting as obstacle removers, is empowering them to learn, is diverse in their skill sets and their people, is working with individuals across the organization and their customers, and potentially even giving me the opportunity to do all of my work just in my day job, always. No on call.
Yeah,
I get
or even less than a day job.
Is that what this is implying?
Or at least to me it does. And I don't really care where or when you do it, right? I've been in an engagement building a team out of a number of sales and pre-sales people. And I once got this question, hey, Dimi, you have this sales guy, he's only in the office on Monday, and Tuesdays to Friday, he's on the golf course. So, yeah, you don't want him to work? Well, I don't know. His numbers, results, right? He's closing this business. His visions and actions, his representation is as we think we want to be represented. The contracts are coming in. He's committing, whatever, right? And if he can do that by being in the office on one day and the rest of the time on the golf course, that's totally fine. Oh, no, but Dimi, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to talk to him and see if I can increase his targets, right? Then maybe the results will go up. If it forces him to come into the office for 2 days and 3 days on the golf course, what happens? Actually, his numbers went down because I had to learn that he really made his money. Thank you. So he got his deals signed on the golf course. It's like in Belgium. Deals are signed over lunch. And that's different from Germany. So we need to be culturally aware of an organization when we drive a DevOps change. It's not the same in every country. It's not the same in every organization. It differs by sector we're at. Knowledge sectors like universities, they also have teams. They deliver research, cross-functional, they have a customer, they have a product, they have responsibilities, right? Principle for the cross-functional autonomous team, right? Different from being in the media or sports or fashion or whatever. So these metrics matter, but be aware of the context in which you use them.
It's excellent. Akil, how do you tell? Oh, I'm sorry, Sundaresh, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Akil, this slide also portrays to me an excellent leadership dashboard. How would you tell leaders to use these metrics to their advantage? Because not only for their behavior, but for their organization, to know the teams. I mean, they could do a lot with this, right?
Yeah. Very interesting, because all of you are talking about the brains and talking about the minds. So I call this particular slide can be put together as a dashboard of oxytocin, right? You know when it is released, isn't it? Yeah. And when I say oxytocin, it is the first letter O represents that ovation. On the dashboard, when you put the people, and I've done for a number of organizations in the past, when you put their recognition on the board and say that, hey, you have exceeded the goal, or you have at least met the goal, right? There is another dashboard. So you can see that how many people are coming into that particular ovation timeline, right? Or that there is a scroll which is going on onto that. Now, there is a X which is called the expectations. How many of us are able to meet or exceed the challenging task which is given? So we all love to take the challenging task. Yeah, human nature is that we'll take that. So in your dashboard, when you put together that here are the complex problems that we have solved this month, that's what is required. So that's another dashboard that you can build. Look at the complexity of the task the team is able to solve, stretched goals that makes, right? Now the third one is the yield. So have we able to yield the value for the customer, the oxytocin? So that's how much we are able to meet the customer's value, and how are we enabling the people to meet that particular yield for the customer? So that's another dashboard that the leaders would look at. Now, the T, which I said that how much of the leaders are able to transfer their control to the team to self-manage themselves, and how many are able to pick up that work which they like, of that work which is happening. So that's another thing which you can build together. And you can also put together the openness chart, that how openly we are asking the question, how are we able to challenge? And I'm picked up this one from the Google. Even the senior level of the leaders in the Google are challenged, openly discussed about the challenges and the process which is happening. Yeah? Now the another one, how the leaders are building the relationship with the teams and the colleagues of theirs. So are they caring? Are they really thinking about the building the relationship with each one of them? So what is the relationship matrix that we are able to put together onto that particular dashboard? Yeah. Then this I is the leaders are investing into the personal and professional growth of the people. So how many people have gone through this particular program? How many people have learned the new things in the particular given period of time? So is there an investment which the company is making into the growth of their people? And can that be put together in the dashboard to look at? And then the last one, the performance is related to the authenticity. It's a being natural, behave authentically, and ask for the help. So what is that you have done the cultural wise, that the people are naturally asking for the help? They don't shy away. If I ask for the help, what's going to happen? They have a pure psychological safety, and then they can start behaving authentically, naturally. So I would say that the dashboard of oxytocin, if you build, you are going to get the right result. Daniel?
Beautiful, Q.
That was really, thank you very much for that, Akil. That was great. Coco, if you could go to the coach slide, please. Thank you. So using this slide as a wrap up, we want high performance teams. We have some measures that show us how we're on our way to creating and keeping and really using those high performance teams. And that's going to create a new cultural mindset, new attitudes, new behaviors. We need some help. Is that what the DevOps coach is for? So Sundaresh, you first, please.
Yeah, so let me do just a quick one-liner on this, right? If you're just a minute focusing on the technology aspect, I mean, you can very well bring in an architect and then, yeah, okay, these are the tools that we want to implement. Let's go and implement. But we spoke about so much things about the humanistic approach for DevOps, which impacts the overall performance of the team, right? So that's where the coach really comes in. That's where the coach really comes in. That coaches a team for performance and coaches team for change. And what are the key things that organization should look for? So that's where the coach becomes a critical person in the entire DevOps journey for the organization.
Dimitri, does the coach have to be external?
Well, we have a saying here that strange eyes, right? Strange eyes give some force, right?
Okay.
You know, they force you to change a little bit, but it doesn't have to be. I think there are many organizations that have internal, very, very good, very qualified internal coaches. It then is very much around acceptance of these people, of this role, that we know that why it's there. And this is the biggest aspect in the role also. You know, you cannot demand respect, you cannot demand people to listen to you. You can only influence in this role. And that's what it requires some authority, maybe some gray hair, maybe not. I know colleagues who are a lot younger than me and are really good at what they're doing in getting the organization to move towards this. But external helps, must it be? No. Qualification, personality, understanding what your role really is what it's about.
Okay, thank you. Akil, we have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a practical evaluation approach to know the maturity level of an organization's teams according to situational leadership?
Oh, wow.
And I'm glad I'm asking one of you three.
Can you repeat the question?
Doc, what would be a practical evaluation approach? And I think we could go back to the metric slide to know the maturity level of an organization team according to situational leadership theory.
Okay, so practical measure, assessment, organizational leadership. That's the key things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I go by the situational leadership, right? So if you look at, if the leaders if the leaders become the coaches, right? They are not saying do this, do this, do that. And that's the practical things that, yes, then we have arrived. We have started doing it. As Dimitri was talking about self-organized team, right? And I would go about a little further to that. In my mind, the practical approach is to understand, and Dimitri, you put together some beautiful things about the games, right? As per the context, how they have started becoming the interdependent on each one of them. For an example, the interdependency in the football is very different than the baseballs or in the cricket, right? So practically, if you look at that, leaders has let go his control and interdependence started showing as per the context of the team, right? Which is nothing but the fourth quadrant of the situational leadership, right? Plus the interdependencies. So if you look at that interdependencies, according to the context, they have started adopting and working onto that. That's where I will look at. Then if I'm adding something, right? And I can go and further talk about that interdependencies, but for the time being, we don't have very much time. Just look at that according to the context. Are they able to create the interdependencies? And let the leader be the coach. Start putting together the decision makings in the hands of the people. And that's where the success will come through. That's where the transformation is going to be very, very different. Oxytocin built performance metrics.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Again, if we don't get to your questions, reach out to us in LinkedIn, or once you see the slides, you can find our names and the webinar, and we'll come back to you. But Sundaresh, if you could wrap us up, please. High performance teams, culture, DevOps, coaches.
Yeah. So again, I mean, if I want to go back to, I mean, for us to be a high performance team, it's not just, I mean, technology that would help in that. So there is a lot to it, the mindset shift, and that's where the coach comes in to help the team to take it forward, coaching the team for performance and change, right? And also just want to caution on the maturity models when, as we're talking about that, right? The maturity models are static. I mean, the maturity models that you put together for this year may not work the next year, right? So instead of measuring through a maturity model, I would focus on measuring a capability rather.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dimitri, wrap us up, please.
The crux of what we're talking about is all in flow of value, in understanding different personalities and cultures and backgrounds of people who together keep that value flowing. It is the different perspectives in a context that will provide key. And the openness and the ability to accept risk as a normal part of life allows us to respond as a team, maybe not as fast as an individual, but definitely stronger than the individual, to what happens around us, to what happens in the market, to what happens in countries, to global pandemics. And that's the adapt or die. And it is this step that we need to take. And that's where the role of the coach comes in, to get the flow of value all the way to the customer. Because only when the product is in the hand of the customer, it then has value. Not when I've done my bit. So this change is what a DevOps coach works on. Establishing the flow, getting the team to take ownership, and actually the leadership to step back and watch the beauty of it all.
Completely agree.
Thank you. And Nikhil, last minute.
Yeah, I will not take much. As Dimitri said, and I just, we have to become adaptive. Let go our predictive models. Adapt to the situations, and only focus is to create the flow. And adaptiveness will come from the feedbacks that what are the mistakes which we have made, and learn from there. And don't look for the best practices, but evolving practices. Just evolve your practice, and you will be able to see that options will happen, and you will be able to start seeing the humanness of our whatever the work we do is going to come through. Just adopt. Let the flow come in like a natural spring. Right? Let the flow come from your heart, not from the head. And you will see the wonderful emerges for every single organizations. As one of the greatest scientists, or I would say that innovator from Canada said, let the little thing happen. Let little you adopt. And one day the wonder will happen. The miracles of organizations is going to take place.
Thank you. I hope everyone has seen that DevOps is not just tools, fancy CI/CD stuff, cloudy stuff, but is actually humanistic. We have and believe in attitude and behavior. We look forward to talking to you at our next opportunity. Bye, everybody.